Alright, if you're like me, then you've probably had your fair share of z-index related issues in your life. So, before I properly learned how z-index worked, I don't know how many times I did this, but I would always want some element to appear on the top, and so I would just take that element and then put a z-index here, and then put a million nines in here, and try to make that work, and it just wouldn't work no matter how many times I tried. And then I would just go through and do a whole bunch of random things trying to fix the issue, and it would eventually get fixed, but I would waste a bunch of time just because I didn't really know how z-index works. And if you just spend a little bit of time getting to know all the rules of z-index, no, it's not quite as simple as the higher number will always come first in the stack. But if you just learn the rules, then it's actually really simple. And let me just go over everything in this video to teach you exactly how z-index works. So first off, let me just introduce you to what we have here. We have 3 squares over here. These are our main characters. As you can see, we just have 3 squares and then a parent wrapper around these. And so I've just overlapped these with this negative margin. Here's how they look normally, but I've just put this negative margin on them so they all overlap. And so by default, the stacking order is exactly how it appears in the HTML. So as you can see, the red square is first in the stack, the blue square is last, so the blue square is going to appear above everything else. And if you want to move these around, then you can actually just do that in the HTML like this. Now red is second in line instead of green, and I can just put that back. But if you want to keep things the way they are and say put red on top without moving anything around, then I'm sure you already know that you can use z-index. So let's get the selector red. Let's say z-index is going to be 1. Now we can save this, but this doesn't actually do anything yet. And that's because we need one more thing. We need to give this a position. Let's say relative. And so now this is on top. And the position that you can put in here, this is basically going to be any valid property besides static. So static is the default for position. And so anything that you change it to, say relative or absolute or anything like that, all of those will work, just not static, as that's the default. And then you can't use z-index, as you can see. So let's just put this position relative. Now this one is on the top. That's very straightforward. And of course, this z-index value, this 1, this is completely relative to all the other squares. So this 1, it doesn't really have a meaning all by itself. It's not like a pixel or any kind of value like that. It's all relative. Let me show you what I mean. So let me select green, position relative, and let's set this to z-index of 2. Now this is going to be positioned above red and above blue because this has not been given a z-index yet. But these can actually be whatever value that you want. So instead of 1, this could be 100. Instead of 2, this could be 200 or 101. As long as it's above red, then it will be above red, as you can see. So you can really change these to whatever you want, but I'm just going to stick with some simple numbers with 1 and 2. Let's give blue 1 so it doesn't feel left out. Alright, and now we're back to the original order, but they all have a z-index, and now we can change them around as much as we want to. Now, besides positive numbers, you can also give these negative numbers as well. So instead of 1, let's say we want this to be behind everything. So we can say -1, and as you can see now, it's actually disappeared. So it is now behind everything, and I do mean everything, including the parent right here. So if we were to pop open DevTools, we would actually see it behind this parent right here, but you'll just have to take my word for it because I don't want to do that. But that might not actually be what you want. You might not want it behind the parent. You might want it to be inside the parent, but behind all of these other divs right here. And so in order to explain that, let me first talk about stacking context. So the easiest way to make a stacking context, I'll explain what exactly this is in a minute, but let's grab the parent right here and let's create a new stacking context. And you can do that by adding a position of anything besides static, and then a z index of anything. Just not auto, because the default z index is auto. So we just want to give it any value besides auto, 0, 1, or anything. And as you can see, it is now back inside the parent. So once we add this stacking context to the parent, now everything inside of it will always be inside the context of the parent. So if this is a little bit confusing, an easy way to describe this is kind of like folders in a directory. So right here we have a directory called parent. So this is the stacking context of the parent. And then inside the parent we also have red, and we have green and blue. And of course you can nest things multiple levels deep. So since there's a position on this and a z index on this, this is also a stacking context. So if I were to put something inside of red, then it would actually stay inside this as well. And let me just show you this by adding another one right here. Let's say inside blue, let's put a class. Let's put a div with the class of yellow. And now we have a yellow div inside here. And of course, let me just put this to 1 so it's below green. As you can see, this yellow square is in the stacking context of the blue square. So you could say it like this. Let's say that this is blue, and now we have another inside here that is yellow. So you can just stack these as many as you want deep, but that's an easy way to think about stacking contexts. It's basically like a folder directory, and you can nest them inside of others. Okay, so we have turned the parent into a stacking context, and we have done that using this position relative and the z index right here. Now, if you remove one of these, it's not going to work. As you can see, the red square is now behind the parent, but add it back and it's back. But this is not the only way to create a stacking context. This might be a little bit confusing, but there are other selectors that can affect this as well. So it's opacity, transform, clip path, mix blend mode. If you have a child of a flex container or a grid container, that's automatically stacking context as well. So instead of putting position relative and a z index here, what I could also do is say opacity is 0.9. And this is now a stacking context. See, I don't have a position relative here. I don't have a z index. Just by putting this here and then adding it back, this is now a stacking context. So this can be something that you might want to keep in mind. Say maybe you have a header and you want to change the opacity for it, and then all of a sudden your z index kind of gets messed up. That's because this now becomes a stacking context, and so now everything inside here will only be relative to the parent. And so if you don't have a stacking context here, then all of these will default to the next higher stacking context. So if I had another parent of the parent, a grandparent, then they would be part of the grandparent stacking context. And the final stacking context is the root selector. And so all of them will default to this if there are no stacking contexts, say in the parent or anything. And if you want to know more about the stacking context, I didn't go completely over everything. I gave a few examples like opacity, transform, and all these. But if you want a complete list, then you can check out this MDN article, which goes over everything that you can possibly need to know about this. I'll leave a link to this in the description if you want to check it out. But just be aware of all the things that can make something a stacking context. Alright, but let's make this parent a stacking context once again with position relative, z index 1. So now we see the red square again. Okay, so here's a little pop quiz for you. What if we want to take this yellow square and put it on top of the green square? But only the yellow square and not the blue one. So we want the blue to be under the green and the yellow to be over the green. Now, as is, let me just show you. So we can take the yellow div, and let's say we want to give this a z index of, you can even make this some crazy high number, let's say 99999, just so it's above everything. And as you can see, it's had no effect. Like, you might be thinking that, okay, 9999 is higher than 2 right here, so it should be above this, right? but it's inside the blue div's stacking context. So no matter what you do, as long as it's kind of inside the blue folder, it can never move out of it, and it can never go above the green square. It's just impossible. So if we wanted to get the yellow square above that, what we can do is we can remove the stacking context of the blue. So instead of making this a stacking context, we can remove these, and now it is no longer a stacking context. So the yellow square is free to do whatever it wants to do. So now you can make this 9999, or you can just make it 3 so it's above the green square, and that works just as well. You can make it 1 so it's below the green square. There you go. But it's completely independent of its parents' constraints, just because it's no longer part of the stacking context of the blue square. But if we wanted to have this blue square still have a z index, then what you can just do is just move this out of it. And now, of course, the yellow square can do whatever it wants to do. It is out of the parent. But let's just put this back in for now and set everything back to normal. Let's say 1, 2, 3. And just put this as 4. We don't need some gigantic value there. And so finally, I just wanted to go over the hierarchy of all of these, just so you can see what order they're going to be in at all times. Okay, so the stack starts with the parent. The parent's background will always be behind everything. And then the last, or the one at the bottom, will be the highest negative number. So if we have -9, or it can be -1, just the highest negative number here will always be in the back. And the second highest after the negative ones will be just a non-positioned element right here. So green no longer has any kind of position. It's not relative, it's not absolute, it's not anything, but it's just going to sit there, and the negative ones will be behind it. So next up on the stacking list will be positioned elements. So anything that's positioned, it can be relative or absolute, those will automatically be above something non-positioned. And as you can see, if we switch this around, then now green is on top of blue, just because it's positioned and blue is not. And then last but not least, the highest will be element with a position and then a positive z index. So we give this a z index of 1, and now blue is once again the highest in all of the stack order. So it can be helpful to remember the default stacking order, just so you are aware of all the rules here. And that's really all there is to z-index. So I've gone over everything here, so hopefully you never get confused again and wonder why you can't put this yellow div above the red div, even though it's a z-index of 1,000,001. It will never ever be above the red, just because of the stacking context. Once you take it out of the stacking context by removing this, now it can be wherever it wants to be. And that was the biggest hang up for me learning about the z-index. And I don't nearly get confused by z-index as much as I used to. Now I do want to do one more video on this. As you can see, this is a very simple example. I just have 4 squares here. But I did want to do another video on how to organize your z-index if you have a big project with a whole bunch of different factors like a header, a footer, drop-down menus, modals, all these things that have to overlap each other. How do you set those up without making a huge mess of everything? So I'll probably have a video on that in a couple of days, so stay tuned and check that one out as well. But if all you wanted was a crash course for z-index, well, there you go. I hope that helped.